When did you first see someone's true colors and realize they were never your friend? It was the last week of college. Everyone was getting sentimental, signing yearbooks, crying during parties, promising to stay friends forever. My roommate Kyle and I had been close for all 4 years, lived together twice, traveled, shared secrets. He was the guy I trusted most. One night, we were drunk on a rooftop with a few others. He pulled me aside and said he had to tell me something before graduation. I braced myself for some emotional revelation. He said, "You know that girl you were crazy about freshman year? The one you wrote that song for?" Yeah. Of course I remembered. I'd crushed on her for a whole year. She never gave me a chance, and it broke me for a while. He laughed. "Yeah, I slept with her. Like, while you were writing that song. She told me it'd crush you if you knew, so we kept it quiet. Honestly, I figured you'd move on faster if you hated her." I stood there, silent. He thought he'd just dropped a fun fact. We haven't spoken since that night. And I left college knowing something I hadn't realized until that moment. He never once protected my heart. He just managed it, for his own convenience. I was struggling with anxiety and finally decided to start therapy. I told my close friend Marissa first. She was the kind of person who always prided herself on being emotionally in tune, so I thought she'd support me. She asked me a million questions. Wanted to know how I found my therapist, what platform I used, even what I said during sessions. At first, I thought she was just being a caring friend. Then one day, I logged into my therapy app and got a notification. "Your appointment has been canceled by your provider." Weird. I emailed the therapist. She said, "You missed your session and didn't respond to the reschedule. I assumed you changed your mind." I hadn't. Turns out, Marissa had booked with the same therapist under a fake name and told her I had given her permission to discuss me. She asked the therapist what I'd said, pushed for details, claimed she was trying to help me open up. The therapist cut her off immediately and banned her from the platform. I confronted Marissa. She cried, said she was worried about me, that it came from love. It didn't. It came from control. And deep down, I think she was afraid I'd grow without her. A few years ago, I got into a bad car accident. Not life-threatening, but bad enough. I had a concussion, whiplash, and was stuck in a hospital overnight. My phone had been crushed in the crash, so the nurse let me borrow hers to call the one person I thought I could count on, my friend Malik. He didn't pick up. I called again, then texted from the nurse's number. Hours passed. No answer. The next morning, my sister drove 3 hours from another city to pick me up. I borrowed her phone to check Malik's socials. He was live on Instagram, at a party, laughing, dancing, drinking, right around the time I'd been calling from a hospital bed. When I finally confronted him, he said, "I didn't recognize the number. I figured if it was serious, you'd try harder." I realized then, he wasn't a friend. He was just someone who liked being seen as a good friend, not someone who actually was one. This one feels small on the surface, but it changed everything. I had just gone through a brutal breakup, the kind where you're not just heartbroken, you're humiliated. I told my friend Alex I didn't want to go out, didn't want to talk to anyone, just needed a few days to grieve in peace. She insisted on coming over, said she'd bring ice cream and we could cry together. She showed up, but instead of comforting me, she spent the entire evening talking about herself, about her job stress, her love life, her gym drama. When I finally broke down and started crying about my ex, she said, "Girl, I get it, but you need to get over it already. He's not worth all this energy." Then she looked at her phone and said she had to leave for a date. That was the moment I realized she didn't come over for me. She came over to make herself feel like a good friend, without doing any of the actual work. We stayed friends for a while after that, but I never forgot the way she handed me a spoon and a deadline for my pain. At my college graduation party, my best friend Lily gave a toast. Everyone was tipsy, laughing, emotional. She got up with her wine glass and said she wanted to share a few words. What followed was 5 straight minutes of jokes about me, that I was obsessed with being liked, that I couldn't take criticism, that I only dated guys who looked like disappointment. People were laughing, but in that uneasy way like, is this actually a roast or a cry for help? I laughed too, pretended it was fine, even gave her a hug afterward, but something broke in me that night. The next morning, 2 people messaged me saying they thought her speech was weirdly personal. Another said, "She kind of made it about herself, huh?" It hit me then. Lily wasn't celebrating me. She was resenting me. She had waited until the one moment I should have felt most seen to finally take her shots. I never confronted her, just stopped returning her texts. And honestly, she never really noticed. I had been living with my friend Amanda for about a year. She was the kind of person who was always bubbly in public but oddly cold in private. Still, we had a decent roommate rhythm. Split chores, watched trashy reality shows together, complained about work. I started dating someone. Jake. Things got serious fast. He started staying over more often, and Amanda said she didn't mind. Even joked that she was living vicariously. One Friday, I came home early from work with takeout to surprise them both. I walked into the apartment and found Amanda and Jake cuddling on the couch. Not just too close, but full-on under a blanket, feet intertwined. They didn't even flinch. Amanda looked up and said, "We were going to tell you." Turns out they'd been seeing each other behind my back for weeks. Jake said it just happened. Amanda said I wasn't really serious with him anyway. I packed my stuff that night. The worst part? Amanda genuinely didn't think it was a betrayal. She called me dramatic for being upset. That's when I realized some people don't believe in loyalty, just opportunity. Back in high school, I had a ride-or-die kind of friend named Ellie. We talked about everything, boys, dreams, secrets. She was the first person I came out to as bisexual. She cried and told me she was proud of me. For a while, I believed her. Then one day in senior year, I was hanging out with another girl from our group, Jasmine. We were scrolling through memes when Jasmine accidentally opened the wrong album in her camera roll. I saw a screen recording. Looked familiar. It was my DMs. From Instagram. To Ellie. A private conversation where I'd opened up about feeling like an outsider. Where I'd told her I was scared to tell my parents. Where I said I thought I might be falling for a girl in our friend group. Ellie had screen recorded it. And sent it to the group chat. They had all watched it. Called it dramatic. Said I was trying to make everything about me. I walked out of Jasmine's house without saying a word. Blocked everyone the next day. That moment taught me something I still live by. Just because you feel safe with someone doesn't mean you are. I had been job hunting for almost a year. Rejections, ghostings, interview loops that went nowhere. It was brutal. My friend Marcus worked at a tech company I really admired. We had known each other since freshman year of college, shared a dorm, even co-wrote a dumb webcomic together. He told me he'd totally refer me if anything opened up. Eventually, I found a role that fit me perfectly. Sent him the link. He said, "Absolutely, man. I'll put in the referral tonight." A week passed. Then 2. I heard nothing. Then I saw the job was filled. I assumed they picked someone better. Until another mutual friend mentioned he saw Marcus post on LinkedIn, welcoming his cousin into the exact role I had applied for. He never referred me, he just told me he did, then gave the slot to someone else behind my back. No explanation, no apology. When I asked him why, he just said, "I figured it'd be less awkward this way." Funny how people think lying protects you from awkwardness. It actually exposes who you are. My mom passed away suddenly when I was 27. Massive heart attack. No warning. She was my rock, and her death cracked me open in a way I didn't know was possible. I asked my best friend Dana if she would come to the funeral. She lived 2 states away, but I didn't hesitate to ask. She'd been through everything with me since college. I thought she'd want to be there. She said she would. Day of the funeral came. I kept glancing toward the door. She didn't show. No text. No excuse. Just absence. Later that night, I finally got a message from her. "So sorry I missed it, girl. It was just too heavy for me emotionally. I couldn't handle it." Too heavy. For her. She hadn't lost anyone. She hadn't buried her mother. She just didn't feel like being uncomfortable that day. We didn't fight. I just never answered. I realized then that our whole friendship had been built on me showing up, me holding space. And when it was my turn to need her, she vanished. Some friends aren't friends. They're audience members. 2 years ago, a bunch of us planned a friend trip to Cancun. 10 people. Beach, drinks, sunburns. Classic early adulthood chaos. My friend Natalie offered to take charge of booking the Airbnb. I volunteered to help. We each sent $350 to cover our share. A few weeks before the trip, Natalie messaged the group saying there had been an issue with the Airbnb. She'd handle it. Days passed. Then, she said it was all good, but we'd need to pay a bit more. Another $75 each. We paid it. Then, the trip happened. Except, she didn't go. She suddenly got COVID the day before we left. We were bummed but didn't question it. She kept sending sweet have fun texts and reacting to our stories. But while we were gone, someone in the group found her tagged in a photo. At a spa across town, same weekend. Champagne in hand. Turns out she'd never booked the Airbnb. She'd just pocketed the money and booked herself a solo luxury weekend using our cash. We confronted her when we got back. She didn't even deny it. Said, "You all seemed like you could afford it." She thought that was a reason. We blocked her. And now, every time I book a trip, I double-check everything. Because sometimes the snake isn't outside your circle, it is your circle. I'd known Josh since we were 11. Grew up on the same block, played on the same soccer team, went through awkward puberty together. When we hit our 20s, we even moved in together to save on rent. It wasn't glamorous. Cheap apartment, bad plumbing, always broke. But it was fun. Until one month, our power got shut off. I was confused. We'd both paid our half of the rent and utilities, or so I thought. I called the power company. They said no payment had been made for 2 months. I checked our shared Venmo history. I'd sent Josh my half every single time. He never forwarded it. When I confronted him, he got defensive, said he forgot, or that he'd been meaning to fix it. I gave him the benefit of the doubt, until it happened again, with Wi-Fi, then with rent. Eventually I found out he was using my half to buy weed, and Uber Eats, and sneakers. He never apologized. Just said, "You make more money than me anyway." I moved out a week later, lost my deposit, but saved my sanity. It still stings, not because of the money, but because I spent over a decade believing he was my brother. Turns out he just saw me as his backup wallet. I had this friend, Hannah, who I thought was basically my platonic soulmate. We met in college and instantly clicked. Same dark humor, same taste in bad movies, same tendency to stay up until 3 a.m. overthinking everything. We were inseparable, went on trips together, had matching tattoos. She even helped me move twice. One day, I got really sick, like fever delirious, barely holding it together sick. I called her, said I couldn't make it to this concert we had tickets for. She acted concerned, told me to rest up, and that she'd stay home too. I was touched. Then, around midnight, I got tagged in a blurry Instagram story. Someone had posted a selfie of the concert crowd, and right there in the corner, clear as day, Hannah, dancing, laughing, standing next to my ex of all people. I texted her. No reply. Next morning, she sent some vague, "Sorry, it was last-minute" message, as if she hadn't full-on lied to my face just 12 hours earlier. I didn't even care about the concert. I cared about what it meant. She didn't even hesitate to lie to me. After that, I started noticing more. Backhanded compliments, disappearing when I was down, always present when things were fun, but never when things were hard. She was never my soulmate, just someone who liked the way I made her feel about herself.